Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into my favorite videos, which are the weeklies. Now, of course, we're going to start it right off with Aries, and this is going to be for December 29th to January 4th. It's the last few days of 2019 going right into 2020. So let's get right into it, Aries. We're going to pull out your 3 romance angel messages. Then we'll pull out your animal spirits and we'll get right into your traditional spread with the traditional tarot deck. All right, so Aries, let's just see. All right, we have forgiving and learning. We have getting to know each other. Nice. Revealing your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. I love this one. It's all about communication, isn't it? And trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. So Aries, very nice, but we won't really know what that all really means for you until we get into your other cards. So let's go ahead and pull out your animal spirits now. As I always say, animal spirits can represent individuals that you're dealing with and their personality and character traits, can represent energies becoming available to you, and they can also represent stages or paths in your life that you are entering into. So let's go ahead. Oops. I generally don't take flyers. So let's go ahead and pull out your 3 animal spirits. Lovely Aries. I do love me some Aries. I'm a Sagittarius myself, and I have definitely had some fairly exciting relationships with Aries. So I do love your energy. So we have straight out the Panther, lovely strong fire energy. We have the Fish, of course, water energy. The symbols at the top of the cards are the alchemical symbols for their element. And we have the Vulture. Lovely. I love the Vulture also. Air element. So before we go into your traditional spread, let's go ahead and review your animal spirits. Now the Panther is fire energy, and the Panther talks about annihilation, right? Annihilation of the old. All right, the Panther is all about pouncing into your life in a very chaotic way, right? What the Panther does is that when we are in situations where things have become a bit static, perhaps a bit, we're still holding on, and we may not even be aware of it, but we're still kind of living a life or in an environment where there's a lot of unnecessary things from the past cluttering that environment up, or we may be holding on to things that are just outdated in a way for us, that no longer apply to us, right? Whether they be behaviors or connections, etc. The Panther is the one who kind of comes in with this energy of sort of just chaos, right? Brings chaos, it shakes everything up. And by the time the dust has settled, all of this sort of extra, right? The extra stuff that is dead weight basically has been eliminated, right? An example, I always say an example could be that if you're living in a particular situation, say you've been living with a particular roommate that you've known for many, many years, and they are essentially from a different stage in your life, but yet, you know, you're still kind of in a certain mode of, you know, living with them and dealing with a certain environment with them. And then let's say, for instance, there's some kind of plumbing problem or electrical problem, you know, that is no fault of your own or your roommates, but it suddenly brings chaos in, right? And before you know it, within a few months, you're having to move, you're having to change everything, and your whole life kind of changes. But once all of that dust has settled, you find yourself full of sort of a freshness, a newness. Now you're suddenly living somewhere very different, and the possibilities are, certain possibilities are now open to you that were never open to you before, right? And so this is what I mean. The Panther can bring in chaotic situations in your life that force you to kind of shake out of any kind of sort of area or scenario situation where you're kind of stuck perhaps, or maybe holding on to the past. Now the Fish is water energy, and the Fish of course is quite interesting energy because the Fish is very sort of, you know, he goes with the current, right? The current carries the fish in the sense that, you know, he's very transient, right? He's very sort of slippery, right? So he has slippery relationships. He's not very committed. He doesn't stick around, you know, but not because he's not committed, but because he just simply allows life to sort of dictate his movements, right? Life for the fish being the current. And so he just goes with whatever sort of pulls in his direction. And so without any real focus or without any real intention, the fish unfortunately finds themselves oftentimes with very temporary relationships, very slippery relationships, relationships that don't last. And so in a very misguided way, oftentimes believing that it's living this adventurous life, it is in fact, the fish personality is in fact really sacrificing deeper connections, deeper relationships, stronger relationships. And usually when somebody resonates with this kind of energy, you know, they do find themselves quite alone later on in life, right? You can be adventurous. You can travel the world and have different, you know, different careers, different interests and all of that, you know, and be, you know, a bohemian as it were, but you can also still cultivate strong relationships with people, putting the effort in, putting the intention in, right? And so this is a lesson to learn from the fish, to not forego sort of the extra work that's needed, you know, the extra time sometimes that's needed to root yourself in one position to be able to grow and develop something stronger with the people in your life. Now, the vulture is air energy, and the vulture talks about nothing is wasted, right? Nothing is wasted. The vulture oftentimes does the dirty work, right? It has to deal with a lot of difficulties. This is the work that a lot of people don't want to do, right? The dirty work that a lot of people don't want to do. In a lot of ways, the vulture talks about, you know, bad experiences and learning from those bad experiences, right? And again, also cleaning up, you know, that dirty work in a sense that if you're resonating with vulture energy, you may be one of these individuals that your friends are always calling on when they're getting themselves into tricky situations, and you're the one who has to come in sort of and figure it out, right? Air energy is associated with communication in the mind. And so in a lot of ways, that vulture energy, you know, is necessary. Of course, the vulture is necessary to our ecosystem, and so also to our spiritual ecosystem, because it gets rid of the old, it gets rid of the dead and the disease, and it transmutes that into something good and positive for the new, right? And so in a lot of ways with vulture energy, we're talking about really being sort of understanding that you don't take anything for granted, and also understanding that even difficult times, challenging times, negative times still serve a purpose, right? They still have a value, and the value is learning, is wisdom that you gain from going through that situation and facing that situation and facing the lessons of that situation. All right, Aries, let's get right into your 3-card spreads for the week. These are going to be anywhere from 4 to 6 spreads. And we're going to look at scenarios, situations you may or may not be dealing with this week. And of course, just as with the romance angel messages and the animal spirits, just take whatever resonates with you. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Just let it go. We know that not all readings can be for all Aries. All right. All right, we're talking about December 29th to January 4th for my lovely Aries. All right, we have 4 of Wands, Queen of Swords, Knight of Swords. All right, Aries, some of you are coming into this week and your focus is on a new relationship, right? The 1111 card, 4 of Wands, talks about Venus and Aries energy. So this is a new, beautiful relationship that's really being built on a stable ground, right? 4 is the number for stability. And so this new relationship, I think, that's coming into your life is what you're focused on, right? Now, you're met with a Queen of Swords energy, and it's interesting because this Four of Wands relationship, it may not have necessarily developed just yet, but there is a desire for this. Someone out there, you have your eyes on someone out there that I think you believe is your soulmate or your twin flame. And so whether or not that connection has really been sort of formulated and sort of bonded yet or not, this is what's in your focus. Either this person or this desire to have this sort of stable relationship with this person. So you're meeting with this Queen of Swords energy this week. And I think, you find out that the getting to know each other is at the heart of that, right? In a lot of ways, because the Queen of Swords is all about showing her true self. She's all about, pulling away the mask, right? Pulling away any sort of veil or mask to hide who she truly is. Being honest about what she desires and what she requires, right? Not playing the role that she believes people want her to play, right? And so this honesty about herself is something she also requires from people around her. And I think that for you, Aries, those of you who are focusing on this new sort of soulmate connection that you really want to have, surely, you're realizing that part of it is that you're going to have to reveal yourself, right? You're going to have to reveal yourself to this person if you haven't formulated it just yet. You're going to have to be honest about your feelings with them. You're going to have to express yourself to them. And don't be afraid that the real you is going to scare them off or something like that. But this is what's required if you want their attention. You round off the week with a Knight of Swords, and I think that in a lot of ways, by the end of the week, you realize exactly what you need to do. Queen of Swords tells you that you need to be sort of open and honest with who you are. But the Knight of Swords is sort of in action, and this is going to be, by the end of the week, you're going to be wanting to have that conversation with them. Right? Sort of the Queen of Swords is kind of that realization of what is needed, but the Knight of Swords is more or less you sort of formulating the plan. Okay, all right, now I know what I need to do to get this relationship going, or to at least get this person to see that I'm seeing them, right? Now here's my plan. Here's how I'm going to go about it, right? You're wanting to getting to know somebody, getting to know each other. I think this is very much about you definitely, this love is there, but there is a need to sort of really get to know each other, really get to understand each other. I think trust is coming in as well, in the sense that you need to trust that when you do show yourself to this person and you are sincere, that you will have your answer, right? Four of Wands is a soulmate connection, and chances are that you have a true love connection with this person, and really it's only your fear perhaps that's stopping you, or that has stopped this connection from actually sort of formulating up until now. Ten of Swords, King of Cups, and the Devil. Some of you, excuse me, again, this is about relationships. Some of you coming into this week with a Ten of Swords, and there's a particular stage in your life that is finally over. It's a stage of your life that has been full of a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of pain. You've had to really pick yourself up a lot of times and dust yourself off and really start over again. Ten of Swords really talks about the end of a stage in your life where you've also changed so fundamentally after going through this period that you aren't the same person anymore, right? The old you is dead, right? The old you is dead and vanquished in a way by these swords, and you kind of rise above this stage in your life to a new stage in your life. And then and this person laying there, this is this representative of our ego, right? And so it's your ego that's died, and we really want our ego to diminish as we carry on in life. We want it to become less. And this is what happens with the Ten of Swords. The ego diminishes in this new stage coming out of here, because Ten, of course, is completion. But the new, smaller ego can't be harmed by the same set of swords that it was harmed before, that the bigger ego, right, before that you had, was harmed. And so in this way, you've really resonated up. And this is a really, really beautiful feeling of sort of letting go, right, of a difficult time in your life. You come into this week with a King of Cups, and I think that now that this time of your life, or this stage in your life is behind you, again, with regard to a love connection, you know exactly how you want to move forward. You know who you want, and you're going to go after them. It could be that this stage in your life here, whatever it was you were dealing with, right? Whether it was financial issues, family pressures, perhaps an ex or ex-lover, it was keeping you from truly going after your desire, right? Truly keeping you from the type of person and type of relationship that you've always wanted. But now that you've come through this period, you've resonated up, you've really learned a lot about yourself. You really come into this energy of, I want to say that you're like sort of reinvigorated almost. Whereas before you were feeling very beat down, kind of come out of it, you're reinvigorated, and you absolutely know who you want, and you're absolutely going to go after them. King of Cups is associated with Scorpio energy. And so in this way, kings are fire, cups of water is the fiery aspect of water. And so Scorpio is one of these sort of energies that really sort of sets its sights on someone and really goes after that particular person in a very sort of strategic way, right? And this is what you're resonating with this week. Your week rounds off with the Devil, and I'm just going to say that there are going to be temptations for some of you, I think, to take the easy road, because this road is not easy. It may be difficult. The person that has your eye, or the person, because I do feel a lot of you Aries already have your eye on someone in particular that you're very interested in, right? And so with the Devil coming in by the end, you know, rounding off your week with Devil energy, I just feel that for some of you, it's going to be a little bit trickier to, you know, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to put some real effort in, because there's also temptation there for you to kind of just slide into something that's easy and comfortable, that you're used to. It may not even be that comfortable or easy, but it's something that you're used to. And so in that way, it kind of feeds your instant gratification, but it's not really what you truly desire. It's not that elevated love. So it's going to be a tough week for some of you Aries who are really going through a mental and sort of characteristic change, and also really sort of having to step up to the plate and put that effort in to get what you truly, truly desire. Don't allow that fish energy. Remember, don't allow that fish energy to necessarily take over this week, right? You know, it could be, an example could be that, you know, you may have your eye on someone, and it's going to take a minute for you to get them. And Aries, you are the hunter. It's going to take a minute. It may take a little effort. It may take a little bit of you humbling yourself to get them, you know, get their attention, you know. And then at some point during the week, you may come across someone else who really, really likes you, but they're really easy. They're kind of, you know, shallow, you know, but you could easily sort of, let's say, pick that person up for instant gratification, an instant boost to your ego. But it's not who you really want, and it's not the level of engagement you really want. And so in this way, I think this week, a lot of you who are resonating with this, you're going to really realize that to be the true King of Cups, in the sense of having that relationship that you always really wanted, you are going to have to work a little harder than you're used to. Justice, Queen of Cups, and Lovers. Again, more love energy. So Justice talks about rebalancing coming in. Your life is feeling very out of balance right now, right? Some of you who are resonating with this, you're feeling very out of balance. You're feeling like perhaps life hasn't necessarily been favoring you. But this week you come in with an energy of wanting to rebalance something. It could be that a certain relationship that you are connected to, that you have in your life, that something has become sort of unbalanced in that relationship, right? Something went wrong, and perhaps you're no longer communicating with each other, or perhaps the energies are so like negative right now, and there's no need for them to be negative. It could be, you know, things that you said or things that they've said, right? And so Justice really talks about looking at a situation with honesty, right? To realize that, hang on, you know, maybe what can I do to bring balance back into this relationship, to make this relationship sort of be harmonious again. Justice can also indicate a genuine sort of judgment or rendering coming in. And for some of you, you may indeed be waiting for a judgment or some kind of decision to come in that will serve as a rebalancing in a particular relationship. Also, this could be anything. It could be a divorce. It could be a separation. It could be a business sort of agreement. It could be, compensation, or it could be, whatever the case may be. This can also definitely represent an actual court or mediation process. But in any case, rebalancing is what you need in a particular relationship, and you're feeling it very strongly. You come across into this week with this Queen of Cups energy, which talks about the need to express yourself. Once again, the need to express yourself and to express your feelings is very, very necessary here, right? And so Queen of Cups, talks very much about, the Queen of Cups is the watery aspect of water. And so not only as the Queen of Swords is about being honest with the type of person you are, right? And not playing a role, the Queen of Cups is extremely honest about her feelings, right? About what she desires, about what she wants to offer to you, what she wants to exchange with you in a relationship. She's not afraid to be vulnerable in a relationship. These are some of the qualities that are required to rebalance the situation, right? And so you round the week off with Lover's energy. Because if you're bringing this energy in this week, this feeling of rebalance and this willingness to really, really share of your heart and open your heart chakra, there is a love connection that you have with somebody that will indeed come back into balance, because Lovers is, of course, associated with Gemini, but it's also associated with the two halves of the whole fitting together, right? It's also associated with working on a relationship. Lovers talks about the need to work on harmony. 6, again, is the number for harmony. So, in the journey towards harmony. So this requires work and effort. And sometimes that work and effort is all about being able to share your heart, no matter how scary it may be. Trust that if you do this, this will absolutely work out, in the sense that you will at least have this relationship rebalanced so that you can begin to exchange with each other again. Last one, 9 of Wands, 10 of Wands, wow, and the 8 of Cups, wow. Again, same sort of running theme, my lovely Aries. 9 of Wands, you come into this week starting off with the realization that you really need to lay down some hang-ups that you've collected, some baggage, right? Some burdens. You're only just now beginning to see some of your behavior as baggage, right? You may have realized that a particular situation that you're in right now is because of the fact that you haven't realized exactly how much sort of, I'm going to say, habitual behavior you've employed, or perhaps a set of behavior patterns that you've used in the past that you've used as a crutch, right? Maybe the way you react in certain situations when you fear being hurt, you react in a certain way and you realize that, these behavior patterns are really serving as a crutch because you don't want to be hurt. But they're also keeping you alienated from what you really want, right? These 9 Wands keep this person alienated from the greener pastures beyond. And I think 9 of Wands is that place where we begin to see the work that's necessary to lay down these wands, which is where we come to a 10 of Wands. So the beginning understanding of it all has started with you, the realization of seeing some of this baggage and some of these sort of I'm going to say modes of behaving or attitudes that you've held on to for being what they are, which are crutches. And so you come into 10 of Wands this week and you're ready to lay them down. And I think, again, in a particular love situation, you have found yourself alienated from the one that you truly love, the one you truly love, because of this. And this week, you're not willing to be alienated anymore. Your desire to go beyond these 9 wands into the greener pastures has become overwhelming, and you are finally ready to lay down these wands because the oppression of carrying them has become too much. The burden of carrying them has become too much, and you realize that the only thing that's happened is that you've been kept from your true desires. You round the week off with an 8 of Cups because now that you've laid down this baggage and burdens, you're absolutely ready to now turn your back on relationships that don't suit you anymore, Aries. An example of this would be, like, say, for instance, there was a real love connection that you had, right? And because you felt this as a true love connection, maybe you got a little bit frightened, or maybe you got scared of getting too involved or becoming, too sort of connected, right? For fear of maybe being hurt, right? And so maybe you acted in such a way to sabotage this relationship, right? This is just an example. And so with the Nine of Wands, you realize that you're starting to see that you have sabotaged a relationship that you actually truly, truly wanted. You may have sabotaged that relationship in favor for an easier one that's much more toxic, much more shallow, but that was easier to sort of maintain, right? You realize this and you say, oh, you know what? I'm done with that. You know, I'm willing. I realize that, in fact, what I've done is just create more toxicity and work for myself rather than putting the real work in the beginning and getting what I want. So you realize that, you lay it down, and by the end, you say goodbye to this shallow, sort of empty relationships that you have kind of habitually fallen into. Just like with the Devil card, you know, this could be a toxic relationship perhaps that you realize now was never really worth your time. You were only engaging in this toxic relationship because it was easy. And so as a result of all of this learning here, you turn your back and you make a intentional decision to engage higher, to engage on a higher level with people, to engage on a higher level with a lover, right? And so you realize, you know, that you want to take that hard road, that hard ascending road to a deeper connection, rather than continuing to pour your energy and continuing to use certain behavior patterns that only alienate you and that only really serve as a crutch. All right, guys, Aries, this is your reading, December 29th to January 4th. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to check out your other videos that are linked in the description. If you want to get a private reading, go ahead and follow the link on the top of your screen. But for right now, I'm just going to say have a wonderful, wonderful last week and first week of 2019 and 2020. Bye-bye now.